Today we're talking about hand position during the golf swing and how it relates to extension and flexion. So the difference between extension and flexion as it relates to the hands, extension would be a cupped position of our left wrist, and flexion would be more like a bowed position of our left wrist. Like you'd see Dustin Johnson at the top of his backswing, he's very bowed. So the one commonality that all tour players have is at the moment of contact, they are all in flexion at impact. So we see a lot of amateur golfers where they're still in extension, and that's that kind of flipping position, but it's a very weak position that has absolutely no face control. So making a proper golf swing is going to involve being more in flexion through the hitting zone with the handle ahead and the left hand bowing. And it's much easier if you try to get into that position throughout your entire swing. So as you take that club back, you're going to feel like at the halfway point that your left wrist is pretty straight, and at the top it's either flat or even slightly bowed, so that as you transition, it allows you to get down into this right heel so that you can let that club head get a little bit behind you, hands out in front of you, and you can push off that right foot and create some power. So a really easy way to get the feeling of what this should feel like would be throwing a frisbee, because it's the exact same feel with your forward hand, and you can do it with either hand. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to do it with my left hand, which is great because that's the hand that we're really talking about. So if I was to throw a frisbee, I automatically would get into flexion and go ahead and pull through this way before I release the frisbee. Okay? If I tried to throw it with a cupped left hand, I'd probably throw it over my left shoulder. So grab a frisbee, make a couple throws, and get that sensation of getting into flexion, letting your left hip rotate, and leaving that frisbee back here before it releases. So your left hand will be in a bowed position. And it looks something like this. Try that. Get your left hand into flexion. Create way more power and consistency with the club face. Play well.